all you're hearing right now is New Year resolutions, what's your word of the year, so on and so forth. If we look at how nature handles wintertime, it's exactly the opposite of what we have come to do as a society when January rolls around. When it comes to animals and plants, what do they do during this time? They hibernate, right? Sadly, we cannot hibernate because we still got to make money to pay the bills. We still got to take the kids to school. We still got to do this and that. But there are parts of us that we can slow down. Winter is not the season where everything is growing and everything is blooming, right? Winter is not the time to go, 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 go. It is a time to slow down. Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. This is my first official episode by myself in 2025. And I'm going to do a little switch up here compared to what you're probably seeing all over the place, compared to what you're hearing all over the place. The common message of, okay, it's January. What's your goal for the year? What's your goal for the month? What are you working on? And a very masculine type of achievement-oriented message, I'm going to swing the other way, okay? I'm going to talk about maybe the reason why you've been struggling with meeting your goals is because you haven't taken the time to honor that we're in winter, okay? Yes, all you're hearing right now is New Year resolutions, what's your word of the year, so on and so forth. Winter is actually a season where we're not supposed to be doing much, but reflecting, okay? So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can set yourself up for more sustainable growth and change this year without burning yourself out, okay? So if we think about January, a lot of you and myself in the past are probably coming up with a million goals for yourself, like lose 15 pounds, drop the baby weight, start exercising daily, or, whatever. And 2 weeks in, you're like, ugh, and you drop it, right? For some reason, that goal or that resolution that you created for yourself just doesn't stick. And I want to explain why. No matter how much we try and remove ourselves from nature, separate ourselves from, oh, we're not like animals, we're evolved. And yes, we are evolved, right? Our brains are evolved and we are the top of the hierarchy. We are still a part of nature, and nature affects us deeply. So if we look at how nature handles wintertime, it's exactly the opposite of what we have come to do as a society when January rolls around. When it comes to animals and plants, what do they do during this time? They hibernate, right? Sadly, we cannot hibernate because we still got to make money to pay the bills. We still got to take the kids to school. We still got to do this and that. But there are parts of us that we can slow down. Winter is not the season where everything is growing and everything is blooming, right? That's spring. That's summer. Winter is not the time to go, 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 go. It is a time to slow down. It is cold as hell out there, right? I'm in Georgia right now, and we're due to get some snow on Friday. So this is not the time to be like, yeah, I'm going to go run a marathon and whatever, right? I mean, if that's what you've been training to do, power to you. But like, winter is not the time to be doing things. It's time for connection. It's time for reflection. It's time for taking care of yourself. It is a time for nourishing yourself, to reflect on what we've learned about ourselves in past seasons and plan what our next moves are. Like I said, it's time to nurture. And the way we can do that is by giving back to ourselves, nurturing ourselves. Just like how we crave warm, hot, hearty things during the season because it is so cold right now, like hot tea, coffee, soups, stews, right? We can do that for ourselves mentally as well. We can do that for ourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. But we have to make space for that. We have to recognize that the season has shifted. We are no longer in spring, summer, or autumn. We're in winter, okay? And this episode is inspired by a post that I actually saw on Instagram. I'm going to read it to you right now. It says, I'm a firm believer that January is really the month of rest, not the month to start all the new shit you think you have to do. We just finished up 2 months of holidays, spending and entertaining. January is the rest month. You can reset and try new shit in February. And I was like, that is so true. And that is the complete opposite of what people do. It's like you just went through a season of so much planning, so much doing, so much energy, and not much rest to make all these things happen, right? There was Halloween, there was Thanksgiving, there was Christmas, there was New Year's Eve, right? And then you probably had multiple events for each of those things. So, at what point do you allow yourself to rest? Rest is not something that we have to earn. But if it was, you definitely earned it by now. Rest is something that you have to choose to give to yourself. It's not like this fairy godmother comes around and, like, okay, here you go. You have done enough. It's time for you to sit back, allow people to support you, slow down, strip away things that you don't need to do. And that includes shoulds that don't really serve a greater purpose to support your family. You get to nurture yourself too. And plus, I've said this before and I will say it until I'm blue in the face. If we keep going at the same speed 24/7, we are going to burn ourselves out. There is time for rest. There needs to be a time for rest. Otherwise, we cannot keep moving forward because you are so burned out from feeling like you need to keep going, keep needing to be productive, but you're not recharging. You're not reflecting. So if you're feeling like life is just a repeat of the last year and you are not seeing any growth, you're not having those moments where you look back and you're like, wow, I've grown a lot. Wow, life has gotten better over time. Then this message is even more for you because that means you're not spending enough time reflecting on what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what we want to change, what we want to keep. Okay. This is like your strategic time where you can be like, okay, let's take a look at what's happened so far. What do we want to repeat? What do we want to release? What do we want to try? We've got to have some sense of clarity and direction for us to actually see progress. But if we're not and we just keep going like the Energizer Bunny, like even the Energizer Bunny eventually runs out of battery, right? It needs a change up. So allow this time of winter to be a perfect reminder for you to spend more time with yourself. Whether you're journaling, meditating, going on walks, allow yourself to have that quiet time for you to think about Where do I see my life going? What do I want to be different about myself? What are some things that I want to grow? What are some things that I want to change? What are some things that I want to honor and celebrate in myself? And you can do this with your marriage. What are things that went really well in 2024 and previous to that? What are some things that I want to see change? And with motherhood as well. Okay, how are my relationships with my kids? Are they where I want it to be? What can I do to change them? This is all a great pause for us to have a sense of direction so we can do things not reactively because something else is happening and we're like, okay, I'm going to choose what I do based on what happens around me, but rather, okay, this is my pause where I get to decide, how do I want to move forward? How do I want to steer my life based on my own actions, based on my own mindset, based on my own goals? What is my own personal vision going forward? And having those conversations with your spouse, with your kids, to understand what theirs are so you guys can work together. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you to do the opposite because I don't want burnout for you. I want you to see sustainable change. I want you to go for those baby steps that will allow you to see continuous improvement. Not let's go be gung ho for 2 weeks and be all or nothing and then burn out and then feel guilty and just poo poo all over yourself because you weren't able to stick with it. But really, it's not that you weren't able to stick with it, it's that that goal was maybe not fit for you. It needs to be customized to support where you're at and be honest with what it is that you can handle, right? Or maybe it was just the wrong goal altogether. Maybe that goal is because of something else or someone else, and you're like, oh, yeah, I should do that too. So spend more time in January with yourself. Give yourself those moments of quiet to have a relationship with yourself, to understand yourself more, to set yourself and the rest of this year up for success. And burnout is not part of that, right? You see, the thing with burnout is that it lasts a long time if we don't know how to take care of ourselves. We don't have to burn out all the time. That doesn't have to be a norm for your experience of life. If you build in the proper boundaries, the proper communication, and be realistic about what you can and can't handle, and build in time of rest, then burnout shouldn't be a regular thing coming up. It should be that rare thing that comes up. For example, I am planning my first Lunar New Year celebration in our new home. And in the past, I've been co hosting with my mom. So I have someone else cooking as well. I'm not preparing everything. And this year, I'm pretty much by myself doing it. And I want it to go a certain way. And I've got all these dishes that I want to share with our family here, plus friends that we're inviting. And I had to be honest with myself. Is my vision for how I want it to be worth the potential burnout that I experience? And the answer is no, it's not. And so I tried to find creative ways to simplify it for myself. Delegated certain things to other people, made sure that what I am making myself is something that I can handle so that I can actually enjoy the celebration instead of feeling like, okay, now I'm done cooking and I need to go take a 1 week long nap, or I need to go be by myself in a room before I can be a host. No, I want to be able to enjoy the celebration, even though I have all of these things to do. So it's like, okay, what can I make ahead? What can I buy instead of make myself? What's easier to make? What shortcuts can I take? Because there's a lot of symbolism behind Lunar New Year and what's served, right? Things symbolize family connection, prosperity, long life. There's different things that I want to make sure is present in the meal, and I don't want to burn myself out. Both get to exist. And so I'm really taking in what I'm sharing right now of January being a month of slowing down and reflecting and nourishing myself, and remembering to be really intentional going forward about how I want to feel even in busier seasons. And I want to invite you to do the same. Shut off the noise around you with, oh, what's your goal? How much weight are you going to lose? Or how much progress are you going to make towards this? And I want you to consider that you matter too. Your experience matters too. And what would help you more in the long run? The all or nothing attitude, or the slow and steady that takes rest when they need it, takes time to consider what their next move is so that they are really intentional in making moves that actually support their vision of their life. So I'm going to keep it nice and short today and invite you to take the next few moments, if you're available, not when you're driving, to reflect on the past year and how you want to move forward. A really great conversation that you can have with your spouse is, hey, what are some goals that you want to work on this year? And you guys can have shared goals as well. Like my husband and I have shared goals, like, okay, how often do we want to connect? What is it that we want to accomplish together project wise? For us, we have lots of house projects because we just moved into a house in June, right? So there's tons of things to do here, but only so much time. So we've got to talk about prioritizing and how we want it all to go and what's important to us and what can wait. You can talk about goals for your kids. What are things that we want to work on with them? What are some things that we've been noticing? How many extracurriculars do we want them to each have that develop them and serve its purpose and bring passion to their lives, but also support the lifestyle that we want for them, which isn't super busy, but busy enough, right? And so you can take this in so many different directions. You can become each other's accountability partner. So no matter what you do, whether you voice note yourself, write it in a journal, meditate over it, I just want to invite you to take some time to yourself, because I know we are often focused on external things, what we need to do, what other people need from us. I just want you to also consider what you need from yourself. Okay. Add yourself into the equation and make that a constant. How can you nurture yourself even more this year than you did last year? What are the small steps that you can take to help yourself create the life that you are wanting, the experience of your own life, your experience of your marriage, your experience of motherhood, your experience of your career, if you have one? So yeah, jot it down on a Post-it note, journal it out, send yourself a voice note, put it on a whiteboard. It doesn't matter. However you want to document this, do it. Okay? Do it so that you can document how you're going to take steps towards creating this life that you want, with intention, with purpose, with direction. So forget about being all or nothing, okay? You have all year to work on this and then some, right? So focus on the baby steps so that you can build your new normal, create those new habits that support who you're trying to become. And let me know if there's any way I can support you. I'd love to cheer you on. And that's all I have for you today. If you love this episode and you know someone that could benefit from hearing it, please share it with them. I would so appreciate that. And if you love the show, then leave a rating and review. That really helps boost the show's visibility so that more people like you can find this. And that's it. I will catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.